up, and welcome back to the Inside the Diamonds podcast. I am your host tonight, CJ, and I am solo again. If you haven't figured out by the fact that I said I'm your host tonight, sorry if you get sick of my voice. I'm here to talk baseball, and I want to keep the show rolling and do the best I can. So, I know a lot of you are expecting the Mason Miller trade conversation tonight, and if JC's back next week, we will have that. If not, maybe I'll do it myself. I have it all listed down here to talk about tonight, but he got stuck at work, and it is what it is. Hey, we all have lives. We all have things outside of here. We have families, so sometimes we don't make it work. I plan this out where I have my son go to bed at 8, and I'm ready to roll right when he goes to bed. So you're stuck with me tonight. Sorry if you don't like it. Hey, I'm happy to be here if you do. So we'll start right off. The first thing I want to talk about is every week I bring up a team when I do this, and somehow that team ends up collapsing. And this team has a tough stretch this week. I'm going to pull up their schedule right now while I'm talking about them, but I'm going to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays. And I literally wrote in my notes for tonight, cue the curse. And the reason why I say the Toronto Blue Jays is they've been a topic of conversation a lot of outlets this past couple weeks because they were in fifth place. Going into tonight, they're in fourth place. There was a lot of conversation of who gets moved, who stays, like Vlad Guerrero Jr. Is he an option to move? Is Bo Bichette an option to move? I've seen a lot of trades the last couple of days of Vlad Guerrero to the Cubs. It makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. I mean, they've been trying him out to play third base, and is that a showcase to other teams? Like, hey, he's not just a first baseman. Doesn't have to just be a DH. He can be a third baseman. But since May 27th, now if you don't remember, May 26th, they lost to the Tigers that ended their series. Since then, they are 9-4, and that includes a sweep over the White Sox, 2 of 3 from the Pirates, a split with the second place Baltimore Orioles, and they took 2 of 3 from the Oakland A's. This week they have 3 games with the Milwaukee Brewers and 3 games with the Cleveland Guardians, 2 teams that currently lead their division. So this is the real week. Are they really back? Are they the team that everybody thinks they could be? Like I had them, like I said in the preseason, finishing third. Is that what we're getting right now? The lineup's starting to click. Since that loss to the Tigers, the games they've played since then, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is hitting .289 with 2 runs and 12 RBIs. Justin Turner, a big key offseason signing that I wish the Red Sox brought back, 11 games hitting .278 with 3 runs and 3 RBIs. Vlad Guerrero Jr., the piece we just talked about, 13 games, .255 batting average, 6 runs, 2 home runs, and 5 RBIs. This season his slugging is down, but he's starting to get hot, and that's all you can ask for. George Springer, another name that I've heard mentioned being moved potentially, is hitting .268 in 12 games with 11 runs scored, 2 home runs, and 4 RBIs. The lineup's getting there. It's the pitching. And Chris Bassett has started 3 games in that stretch. 2-0 with a 2.00 ERA, a 1.11 WHIP, a 1.50 walk per 9, and a 10.5 K per 9 in that stretch of 3 games. Kevin Gausman, the guy who started the season with an injury, they looked to replace him in the rotation. He came back. He's getting back his footing back. He's made 3 starts. He's 2-1 with a 2.95 ERA, a 0.84 WHIP, a 1.3 walk per 9, a 6.8 K per 9. And on Saturday, he got his first complete game shutout as a member of the Blue Jays, and it came against the Oakland A's. He pitched 9 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. So they could be back. They could be a team to watch going forward, too. So we'll see what happens there, especially if the Red Sox keep playing .500 baseball. But I have a little something on that for you later on. The Braves, they're in big trouble. They lost Spencer Strider, which we've talked about. We talked about it last week. Acuna went down. Now that Acuna's down, they're 2-4. They went 2-4 last week. That's with a loss to the Red Sox in a 2-game series, and they dropped 3 of 4 to the Washington Nationals. In that stretch, they're starting pitching 4 different starting pitchers with a 3+ ERA, and that's granted they made a call up of Schwellenbach the other day. He made a start, and then his most recent start did not go well. Hurston Waldrop, a big prospect I have in my top 100. They see big things with him. I see big things with him. I think he could be a great pitcher in the league. His first outing did not go well. He has a 17.18 ERA right now. Charlie Martin with a 7.20 and Reynaldo Lopez with a 3.0. So they're currently 9 games back of the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a big mountain to climb. I mean, I think the Nationals are 21 back, or 16 and a half, something like that. Let me look at, hold on. They are 15 games back, so not 21, so 15 games back. That's a big mountain to climb. The Phillies are the real deal. So the Braves losing those 2 guys in the little stretch they're on right now, not ideal. Going to the big series of the week. We'll start with the first one that I talked about last week, and that's the Dodgers and the Pirates. And the reason why I said I was interested in those 2 series, in that series, was because the pitching. In the first game, you got Jared Jones versus Tyler Glasnow. That final was 1-0 Pirates. It was a pitcher's duel. Jones went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, didn't allow a run, walked 3, and struck out 6. Glasnow went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits. He allowed the 1 run. So that turned into the pitcher's duel everybody thought it would be. So, and he gave up 2 walks and 9 Ks also in that outing. The next one was the big day of Paul Skeens against the Dodgers, the big prospect. He went 5 innings, got a win, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, walked 1, and struck out 8. The big thing that everybody wanted to talk about and to watch was his matchup against Shohei. That first at bat, first 3 pitches, over 100. 1, 2, 3, 100, over 100. Struck him out. Second time, Shohei, 2-run bomb. Third time, Shohei got a single. Well, Paul Skeens got his 3rd win. He is undefeated. He has not been beaten. He's had some shaky starts in there, but you face a lineup like the Dodgers, and you give up 3 runs on 6 hits. You only walked 1, and you struck out 8 in your first season. And again, this is what, his 5th start? You can't ask for much more than that. You got thrown to the gauntlet of the National League, and you came out and you did your thing, and you look good doing it. The Pirates have a real one, and they have a good 1-2 punch with Jared Jones. I mean, he outdueled Tyler Glasnow. So the Pirates won the first 2 games of that series, and they dropped the finale to the Dodgers. The Dodgers then moved on to the Yankees, and what people said was a potential World Series preview. Now, is it going to be? I don't know. It could be. It definitely could, very well could be. I think Baltimore has a better team, and I think the trade deadline will determine who's the World Series teams, because I think this is the year we finally get no surprise team sneaking in that's into the World Series. I think it's a team, the 2 best teams in baseball will actually face off, especially because it's so loaded at the top. But in the first game, the prized pickup of the offseason was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He got the start, and he went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, didn't allow a run, walked 2, and struck out 7 against a very good Yankees lineup. Now, the Yankees lineup didn't have Juan Soto, so make with that what you will, but that's a solid start from Yamamoto. The middle game was a good game, a lot of fun to watch, good offense, but the finale was the one I was glued to. Sunday Night Baseball, you got Tyler Glasnow against Luis Gil. And both guys walked into the season, 2 of the top pitchers in their respective leagues. It was Glasnow going 6 innings. He gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, and struck out 12. Gil went 5 2/3. He gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Both guys got lit up. Or not, I shouldn't say lit up, but both of them had rough outings. And they faced good lineups, so it's expected. The real big part of the series was Teoscar Hernandez. What a series. He went 6 for 12 with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, a grand slam on Saturday, and 9 RBIs. The other bat, and he's heating up, and I'll show you the numbers. Aaron Judge went 7 for 11 with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. Before May 1st, Judge had played in 31 games, had 6 home runs, had 12 runs scored, 18 RBIs, had a 207 average, and a 754 OPS. Now remember those stats, because now after May 1st to now, Judge in 36 games has 18 home runs, 39 runs scored, 41 RBIs, a 398 average, and a 1.498 OPS. So that's 67 games. He has 24 home runs, 51 runs scored, and 59 RBIs in that time, in the whole season. So May 1st, he's gotten hot, and he's turned into an MVP candidate. Now, are we going to see a record-breaking season? Probably not. But you could start the conversation. 24 home runs with little under 100 games left. So we could do the math out. 24 home runs. I think it will say he's played 63 games. I think that actually I can pull up the Yankees. I have it open. So the Yankees have played 87 games. No, 67 games. 67 divided by 24 times 162. He's on pace. That ain't happening. That ain't right. I don't think we're going to get 73 home runs this season. I just don't see that happening. But could it? Absolutely. I mean, he's hot, and things are only heating up. And that Yankee Stadium, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's a small football park. So he could definitely do it. Definitely could do it. I just don't know. I mean, everything could happen. Tough weather days, injuries. I mean, he said before the season that foot's going to bother him the rest of his career. So we shall see. The next thing I want to talk about is the AL pitching. And there is 5 of them right now that lead the American League in ERA. And all 5 of them are Cy Young candidates, in my opinion. The first one I'll talk about is Tanner Houck. I'll get that out of the way quick. 6-5 with a 1.91 ERA. Last week in his start against the White Sox, he went 7 innings pitched, gave up 3 runs, allowed 2 earned, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 9. Guys, I hate going by win-loss record because that's just a statement of your team. And if his team gets shut out, and he gives up 1-2 runs, then he loses. So the 6-5 record, I think you throw out the window. Absolutely a Cy Young candidate. Right now, he's at the point of the season where he's pretty close to reaching his career high in innings pitched. So does the fatigue and the wear and tear on his arm get to him? I hope not, because I love watching him pitch. He's must-watch TV when he's pitching. He is set up to pitch on Thursday, so I'll be watching that game. The next one I'll talk about, he pitched yesterday, Tarek Skubal. Again, I said it before the season started, my Cy Young pick. He's proven why with a 8-1 record. Again, don't go by win-loss record. He's at a 1.92 ERA. He's started 2 games this past week, one against the Rangers and one against the Brewers. Combined, 12 2/3 innings, 12 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 16 strikeouts. The guy is dominant. Every time out there, he is dominant. The next one I will talk about is Luis Gil, or Heel. Again, I'm just gonna say Gil and Heel every time, because at some point somebody's gonna correct me. And he's got a 2.04 ERA. That is after last night's start. In those 2 starts this past week, I gave you his numbers against the Dodgers, but combined, he faced the Twins and the Dodgers. He went 11 2/3 innings. He gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, and struck out 11. Another dominating performance this past week. The Twins one was more dominating than the Dodgers, but not a bad week overall. The 4th pitcher I'll talk about is Seth Lugo, and who saw this coming? This guy, I wanted him in Boston, was not talked about by many people, and just sneakily signed to Kansas City, and he has provided everything for the Royals and gotten to where they are. He's at 2.13 ERA, and he faced the Cleveland Guardians this past week, the team that leads the American League Central. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. That was his worst start of the 2024 season. So, and that caused him to drop. He had the best ERA in the American League. The 5th and final one is Corbin Burnes, who has a 2.26 ERA, and he faced the Toronto Blue Jays. He went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Burnes and Lugo are both pitching right now. I literally have Burnes here, Lugo over here. And Lugo is having a tough outing again. He's in the top of the 2nd. It's 2-0 Yankees. Tough outing. Tough team to face. And a team that's coming off dropping to the Dodgers. They're not happy, so they're ready to roll in this one. The Orioles, on Corbin Burnes' start, it's 4-2 Orioles in top of the 7th. Last I saw, Burnes was still out there. So, not a bad start for him. And the Rays are, the Rays, He got arms coming back. So we'll see what happens with that. If you want me to keep doing the segment of the pitchers of the top five, I could rotate each week too and do the top five pitchers in the American League and the National League. My new thing that I'm doing, and I'm hoping to roll this out for June, I think soon. Maybe I did June, maybe I'll do July now. Um, is my power rankings for pitching. So if you haven't seen that, it is available on our. The article is on the Inside the Diamonds website. The graphic is on the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Instagram. So if you want to take a look, feel free. We'll talk about. I guess we'll get right into this now, and we'll do the joining us. So if you're looking to write, we got so many spots open. I mean, I need help everywhere. We all do. We can't have. I mean, we could take more than one writer. We could. You want to cover a team, and you see somebody's covering your team. You might have a different opinion. Opinions work. I got roasted for my Jesus Luzardo opinion. Didn't work out well. If you want to talk prospects, if you want to do a down the farm segment, we got that available for you. There is always something to talk about, something to write about. I come up with at least 7 thoughts a day. I got to limit it. I got one coming out probably Wednesday where we're going to talk about the, final 8 teams going to College World Series, and I'll talk about prospects to watch there. There's always something to talk about. We didn't do a great job covering the gambling thing that happened last week. You want to talk about that? There's an outlet. And again, this isn't full time. It's just when you have a chance and something to do. So if you're looking to get your voice heard about baseball and get your thoughts heard and see what people think, and come join us. Come write for us. So with that, there's so much to talk about, and I just wrote down so little. I mean, really. So we'll go to the National League Central. And this is where I wrote this specifically and had this in here for JC, but he's not here, so I'm going to roll it out. Beside the Brewers, there is nothing but chaos. You have the Cardinals, who went 3-4 last week. They lost. They went 1-2 against the Astros and 2-2 against the Rockies. The Cincinnati Reds picked up some serious ground, and they're right back in that race. They went 6-1. They swept the Rockies, and they went 3-1 against the Cubs, who they had a tough week. They went 3-3. They went 2-0 against the White Sox, but then 1-3 against the Reds. And then the final team that needed to make up ground didn't have a schedule in their favor. They had to face the Dodgers and the Twins. They went 4-2. They took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers and 2 of 3 from the Twins. So they did their job. And then I believe they hop back tomorrow night, and it will be Paul Skeens on the mound. I don't remember off the top of my head. I didn't write it down either who they're facing, so I'm going to pull it up for you right now. And like I said, Paul Skeens is must-watch TV. They have the Cardinals tomorrow, so a team that they're fighting for spots. So it's, like I said, I had this for JC. So my question was going to be for him was the bottom 2 spots of the National League playoff picture is available. And there's, 8 teams? 8 teams available that are fighting for it. Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, all 4 of the teams I just mentioned, and the Nationals. Now, the Nationals probably won't be that team. They could shock everybody, and they could be that team, and they could sneak right in and cause some chaos. But I just don't see that happening. So I was going to ask JC, and I had my 2 already picked. If the season ended right now, or not right now, but if the season had a week left, who would get the last 2 spots? The first one I have is the Padres, and I just think there's too much talent there for them to not make it. Even despite Bogarts' rough season, but Tatis, Machado, pitching, you got Darvish and Cease, and King hasn't been bad. They have a lot that could get them in, and they could be a team like the Diamondbacks last year. They get in and they cause problems. Could very well do that. So I have them as the first team in. The second one I flip-flopped. I went between the Pirates and the Cardinals. And I know the Reds, I said, went 6-1. We all know when we've talked about this this is the 14th episode, so we've talked about this for 14 episodes. I love pitching. And so which of those 4 teams have the pitching? I don't think the Cubs have the pitching. Kyle Hendricks has been down this year. Steele has been decent. I mean, he got hurt, so that injury is always there. The Reds don't have the arms, I don't think. I had the Cardinals and the Pirates. The Cardinals I like because of Sonny Gray, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, all guys who could do a job for you in the postseason. The other one I have is the Pirates. And the Pirates I picked because you put Paul Skeens and Jared Jones in the playoffs in their first season together. Now we're talking. And they just went 2-1 against the Dodgers. They could be a team of surprises. So out of those two, I leaned the Cardinals. I really think it's going to be the Pirates. I really do. If right now, if there was a week left, I really think the Pirates. I went the Cardinals on, and I should rephrase that. I did the Pirates on if the season ended this week. With the season left, I think you're going to see guys like Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt start to heat up, and Mason Wynn's having a great season. So, but you have the veterans, the guys of Goldschmidt and Arenado, that I think you get them there. I mean, the Giants very well could, but not having Blake Snell, a guy you spent all that money on, the Diamondbacks could be that team again. But pitching, injuries to the pitching. Zach Gallen, I believe actually he's healthy. Merrill Kelly, though, that's the tough one. Montgomery hasn't looked good. There's just too many question marks in their rotation for me to pick the Diamondbacks. Corbin Carroll's having a down year. So they had to be one of the two NL Central teams. The Cubs, like I said, no pitching. The Reds, their bats could carry them there, but they don't do anything once they get there. The Pirates and the Cardinals, if they get in, they have a chance to make some serious noise. So, again, I put this in for JC, but it is a conversation to have because of the weeks they've had and that now it's all wide open. I mean, I'm going to pull it up right now, but the standings, especially in the wild card, are wide open. So we'll go right through it in the nationally in the wild card. So the Phillies, Dodgers, and Brewers are 1, 2, 3 based on division leaders. Braves hold a 4.5 game lead for that first wild card spot. The Padres hold a half a game lead. But then after that, you have the Cubs, Reds, Giants, and Cardinals all tied. You have the Pirates a half game back. The Diamondbacks are 1 game back. The Nationals are 1.5 back. I could have put the Mets in at 3 games back. I just don't know with them. That single loss kind of hurts. And then you have the Rockies at 8.5 and the Marlins at 9.5. I took them completely out. The Nationals, like I said, they're skipping Mackenzie Gore's start tomorrow against the Tigers. Is that the right move? Who knows? The other thing I wonder is if they stay in it, is there a call-up of James Wood? And I've talked to one of our Nationals writers, Chance, about the chance of bringing up James Wood. I don't know. I think they should. I don't know why he's not up there now. Absolutely be a boost to this lineup. But I don't think that they get close to that. I mean, might be the closest they get is 1.5. Diamondbacks to be 1 game back with the struggles of Corbin Carroll. Surprising. Pirates a half game back. You're seeing what they've done with the plugging in of Skeens. Now, they could be a team that looks to move and get something. Like they're going to need a bat. They definitely need a bat. The Cardinals, I don't know what you move. You got pitching, you got hitting. You might need a bullpen arm. So this goes all back to what I said with the Blue Jays. It's what do you add? Who adds what at the deadline? If the Cubs go and get Vlad Guerrero Jr. and he's hot, then the Cubs propel over everybody. They don't have the pitching, I don't think, to do it, but their lineup propels over everybody else by a landslide. So now you're talking pitching versus the hitting. I'd give the Cubs a slight edge on the lineup, especially with Guerrero being a veteran. You got Guerrero, Bellinger over Arenado, Goldschmidt. Trade deadline is going to be a wild time, and it might not even be the trade deadline. It might be the All-Star break, and then things are just happening. So it's good. That's the race to watch right now. And I have a little nugget I saw today on Twitter, and once I mention it, you'll all know who I got it from. But it's worth mentioning, and that's in my final thoughts. So we'll get to that. The next segment we do every week, and it's my favorite, is the prospects. And so last week, my 2 prospects, one of them is a homer pick, and I was torn between 2. But this guy has been hot now. He just came back from an injury, and this past week he went hit 8 for 19, had a hit in every single game, hit 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 1 walk, and 1 stolen base. On the year, he's hitting .263, .835, has 5 home runs, 17 RBIs, and 27 runs scored. And that is my 15th overall prospect, Roman Anthony. And he's at AA for the Boston Red Sox. And if you're not familiar, we put it up before. and I didn't make one for tonight, but this week, this last week, my new top 100 prospect rankings came out, where guys have graduated, all of that stuff. So the brand new top 100 is out, and a lot of new players are debuting. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, check it out. I highly encourage it. Um, and again, like I said last week, we're doing a double A and a triple A league, Eastern League and International League, down on the farm. And so we're talking about every prospect in the top 100 that is playing at that league. So if they're in the Eastern League, if they're one of the 12 teams affiliated with that, and on the featured image is the 12 teams logos. So if you're not sure, the article is available. If your team is a part of that, one of your top 100 prospects is there. If you don't have a player in the top 100 prospect playing there, like for instance the Red Sox, all of their top 100 prospects are in Double A. So in the International League, I do an honorable mention, and it's just they might be hurt, but I do it so that way not every team is missing somebody. So, for instance, like I think the AAA for the Pirates would have been Skeens. He's obviously in Pittsburgh, so I had to put somebody in so that way that team is covered. I ended up putting somebody in who was injured. He's out for the year. He's in there, but I wanted to include somebody, and there's not many Pirates guys that are AAA. They're in the top 10 to 15 of prospects. So, besides him. So there is something for everybody in there. And if you just want to see how the team is doing, like your AAA affiliate of your team, it's there. The next one I want to talk about is the pitcher of the week. And that is my 55th ranked prospect from the AA Chicago White Sox Birmingham Barons. It's Drew Thorpe. And if you're not familiar with Drew Thorpe, I wrote an article the other day about him because he got called up. So he went right from AA to the big leagues. He will make his debut. I saw Tuesday, but it could be Wednesday or Thursday. So it's confirmed. He's making his debut against the Mariners. And last week he made one start. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 7 Ks. Now, if you're not familiar with Drew Thorpe, this guy this offseason was in the Yankees system. Was one of their top prospects, probably in the top 10, I believe is what I had him in. He was traded from the Yankees to the Padres in the trade for Juan Soto. Then the Padres got him, and they decided to flip him. So then he went to the White Sox in the trade that brought Dylan Cease to the Padres. So this season with the White Sox, he's 7-1 with a 1.35 ERA, a 0.87 WHIP, 56 strikeouts, and 60 innings pitched. Now his next start will be as a big leaguer. The next thing we'll talk about is Adele Amador. He is a second baseman / shortstop, was playing his minor league ball at AA for the Hartford Yard Goats, which is part of the Colorado Rockies organization. He got the call. So that's 2 prospects this week getting the call from AA. And like I said, you may not care about AA, but just know there's prospects in your system that could get the call. Which, when I saw those 2, it kind of made me think, is there a chance that they're going to call up Meyer soon for the Red Sox? Or Kyle Teal? An injury happens with Reese McGuire. They're probably going to go Tyler Heineman because he's on the 40-man, but Kyle Teal could be the guy. Outfield depth, you need an outfield guy? Could Roman Anthony be the guy? Probably not. He's only 20. But there's options. And you never know. That's why I like covering AA, especially the Eastern League, because it's all teams I like to see and I care about watching and want to see the prospects of the future. So, and then AAA, when I do the International League, that's 20 teams. That's all of the AL East, all of the NL East, all of the AL Central, all of the NL Central. So that's 20 teams. There's one prospect covered in that article, and the layout of it is pretty simple. An intro sentence, the standings entering the week, what the matchups were, all the prospects, how the teams did, the results, like what did they do in their series. They play 6 games, so did they split? Did they win the series? How many games did they win? It's all right there. And then underneath that is the standings after the week. So where are they after their series this past week? And then the final paragraph is the matchups. So who are they playing next week? Is it in your area? Do you want to go see, say you live in the middle between Boston and Worcester, and Marcelo Mayer is getting called up next week to AAA Worcester. Now you know the schedule. You could just go look. You see it right there. It literally tells you everything you need to know right there. So you could see who they're playing. Are they home? Do I have a chance to go? I do all the time, especially with AA. I got AA Portland, an hour away. I got Fisher Cats about 15, 20 minutes away. It's right there. So I can see, say somebody gets called up from high A and they're a big prospect and they're playing the Fisher Cats that week, or they're on the Fisher Cats. I can go. So it's a big thing to watch if you care about, if you want to see the future of your team. It's even too, like, you could go and say, hey, so and so from Double A looks like a prospect that I could move. Our team could move. Wouldn't be a bad option. He looks like a good player, but we just don't have a spot for him. Why not move him? Could be a big arm for us, or be a bat. You can move an arm, get a bat. Something to watch. I definitely, like I said, I'm locked in on pitching, so I like watching pitching. So like when Drew Thorpe starts on Tuesday, is what it says. I'll be watching. I want to see how he does in his first big league start, especially against the Mariners. So with that, we're going to move right along into the series to watch this week. So my first one, we'll do the midweek. Neither one of these are today because the Orioles are wrapping up their series with the Tampa Bay Rays right now. But I talked about them a little bit tonight. It's the Atlanta Braves and the Baltimore Orioles. That was my World Series pick. And so it's happening this week. The Braves have some injuries, so they're not the same team. The Orioles, well, Corbin Burns won't be facing the Braves. So it's still a series to watch. It's a good young team against another good young team. I mean, the Braves just lock up their. It's really the same thing, but in different forms. I mean, the Braves had all their guys. They locked them all up. All young guys. Ozzie Albies, Ron Acuna, Austin Riley. There's names. They just locked them up. The Orioles are starting to do the same. They got Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, and the difference between the two is really the Orioles have more coming, and they have more that they can trade away than the Braves. The Braves traded one away because of a logjam. Vaughn Grissom was traded to the Red Sox because they had nowhere to put him, and they went and got an arm that has been their best arm this season. Max Fried's making a case for that, but so that's a series to watch between the Orioles and the Braves. I think it's going to be a great one. The other one, and it's solely for pitching, is the Red Sox and the Phillies. It'll be out tomorrow, my series preview for the Red Sox and Phillies. It's the Red Sox they split with the White Sox. Can't do that. But it's also the most 500 Red Sox thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's a team that they have a gauntlet of a schedule this week. 3 with the Phillies, 3 with the Yankees. It wouldn't surprise me with how the Red Sox season's going if they finish week 3-3. What series they win 2 of 3, I couldn't tell you. But the pitching matchup in this one is what you're going to want to watch. On Tuesday, which is tomorrow, they have Cutter Crawford. They bumped Cutter Crawford back a day to get him an extra day of rest and hope that helps his velocity, which has been down a couple ticks. He'll be going up against Zach Wheeler, who is a Cy Young candidate for the National League. The middle game, it'll be, why am I drawing a blank right now? Oh, Nick Pivetta facing his former team in the Phillies, going up against Christopher Sanchez, who has quietly had a very good season. And when you talk about the Phillies rotation, everybody talks about Nola, Wheeler, and right now, Ranger Suarez. And Christopher Sanchez is thrown in the background, but he is quietly having a very good season. So that'll be another good pitching matchup. And then the finale on Thursday, you got Tanner Houck, who I talked about, facing Aaron Nola. So if that doesn't make you want to watch this series, I don't know. I don't know what you're watching or what you want to see. But, and go back what I said before, Corbin Burns was in, so he just got pulled. This weekend, I call this rivalry weekend. We're starting off with the first one. It's the race I just talked about, the NL Central. We got Cardinals Cubs. So the Cardinals are going to face the Pirates and the Cubs. So they're 2 rivals. They don't like each other. So it's rivalry weekend. And I just said the other series I'm going to talk about, Red Sox Yankees. I don't know what the pitching matchup looks like. When I saw it earlier today from what is the probable, it looks like Luis Gil is going to go on Friday. Don't like that. And he's going to face Cooper Criswell. Don't like that even more. And then Brian Bay was supposed to be the other game. And I saw Sunday was right now slated for Marcus Stroman versus Cutter Crawford. So Sunday Night Baseball is that. But the must-watch series. And if you follow along on the articles on the website, on the weekends I do my series to watch. And it's just a series preview of what I think is the series of the weekend. And I did last week was Dodgers-Yankees. The week before that I had the Phillies and I forget who. Oh, the Cardinals, because the Cardinals were hot at the time. And this weekend, you're going to get what I think might be my new World Series prediction when we get to that point in the season. And that's the Orioles and the Phillies. And you know who's going to pitch in that series? It's Corbin Burns. You know who else is going to pitch in that series? Is Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez. And I also saw Grace Rodriguez for the Orioles is slated to go. That is a great series to watch. And I will be locked in on that. And that will be probably the top thing we talk about next weekend. Because the Orioles got the Braves and the Phillies. And that's a tough couple games. And the Phillies, they got the Red Sox and the Orioles. Again, the Red Sox aren't the same Red Sox they've been. And I got a little bit something to say about that here in about 2 seconds. But that series will be fun to watch. And it's two good lineups against some really good pitching. So that is must watch. So be locked in on that. I find that to be appointment viewing. And I'll actually give you the times right now as I pull it up here. The series will be played in. Wow, why are you taking so long? It will be played in Baltimore. Friday's game is at 7:05. That right now is slated to be on normal TV. So if you have MLB TV, MASN, or NBC Sports Philly, it'll be on 7:05. Saturday is 4:05. That game is on the same. And then Sunday, because of Red Sox Yankees getting Sunday Night Baseball, it's on at 1:35 on the same two channels or MLB TV. So I will be watching all three of those. That'll be a great series. And again, on Friday morning, my series preview for that will be out. So if you want to see who's confirmed pitching and see where the numbers lie and see who the top players are going into that series, that'll be out. The final thoughts. And this is something we're going to start implementing where just little tidbits you saw maybe like I do notes. So I have notes of everything I want to talk about and just little stats and stuff. Like I do my research throughout the week. But then something comes across as I'm wrapping up and I don't know where I want to fit it in or where I want to squeeze it in. So I save it for the end where I want to talk about it. So the first thing I want to talk about is let's go to the nugget that I heard today. And that is right now, and like I said, you'll all know where I got this from the second I say it. There are 10 teams above 500. The Yankees, the Orioles, the Guardians, the Royals, the Twins, the Mariners, the Phillies, Braves, Brewers, and Dodgers. There's one team at 500, and that's the Boston Red Sox. After that, there's 19 teams above 500. And for retrospect, 17 teams last season finished with a winning record. Even more so on that, out of the 12 playoff spots, 6 teams from the American League, 6 teams from the National League, 10 of them currently hold the playoff spot, or 10 teams over 500 currently hold a playoff spot. The 2 other teams currently holding a playoff spot, and again, I named it before. There's like 3 or 4 of them tied for that last final playoff spot in the NL Central. But the team that the MLB website currently has in, 2 of them are under 500. 2 of them. So, and that's the Padres and then the Cubs with the Reds, the Giants, and the Cardinals. All of those are under 500. So, it's going to be an interesting race to the end, and that's literally where it comes in with the expanded playoff of 6 teams, where now, the 5-6 teams we talked about before, even the Nationals, if they stay where they're at, technically 8 teams in the National League, even the Red Sox at 500. If it was right now when we got in the trade deadline, those teams are all buyers. Probably talking about the Marlins, the Rockies, the White Sox, and realistically, that's probably it. Maybe the Mets, the Angels, maybe the A's, and depending upon what happens, if it was right now, I doubt it. The Astros, all those teams could be stellars. And the Astros are the Astros. They're just dealing with arm injuries this year, losing Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy. It's just been a struggle for them. But they're still a team that no matter what, they can get hot and they can go on a run and make the playoffs. But right now, that's a little surprising. Toronto's another team, like I said. The Tigers were my pick to win the AL Central. They haven't looked all that great. They've looked great with Flaherty and Skubal, but they're on a little downtrend right now. So it's just a wild fact. 17 teams last year above 500 made the playoffs, and right now there's only 10. Just 10, and it's really 3 of those are in the American League Central. It's just surprising. The final thing, and this is coming from a Red Sox fan, so if you're a Yankees fan, thanks for tuning in and you want to listen, or a team that just doesn't want to hear about my Red Sox rant for a minute, then thank you. But Alex Verdugo had some comments today about the Red Sox and his time in Boston. And I go back to last year. And why do you guys do this? Why do people do this to other teams? Like, why in the regular season, right before you're about to face that team, make comments. They always do. The Celtics are playing in the NBA Finals. Kyrie Irving just made a comment after Game 1. How'd that go in Game 2? I just don't get it. So, for instance, last year, if you're not familiar, Nestor Cortez, a pitcher for the Yankees, made a comment and said about the rivalry with the Red Sox, it doesn't feel what we have with Tampa now or with Toronto now. You could argue that the Red Sox haven't really been who they are or who they really are the last couple of years. After that comment, it was right before a series with the Red Sox. The Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from them. And then the following weekend they played again, and the Red Sox swept that series. So they went 5-1 in those 6 games. They outscored them 32-15. The Red Sox finished the 2023 season against the Yankees. Now again, the Yankees weren't good last year. They finished in 4th, the Red Sox were 5th. But the Red Sox finished 9-4 against their rival. And they outscored them 67-39. So I mean, again, why do you wake up a sleeping giant or piss off a team? Now, I just said it, the series to watch this weekend is Yankees Red Sox. Alex Verdugo asked about his time in Boston, about him facing his former team this week, made the comments, I really love the organization. I really loved wearing the Red Sox jersey and playing for my teammates. It was just more of wanting to be a part of a winning atmosphere. Which, as a Red Sox fan, I don't disagree with, especially with the comments made by the owner the past couple of weeks. But why? Why do you have to make these comments before going into the series? Just say I love playing there. Miss it. Miss my teammates. Miss my friends. I'm happy where I'm at, though. You got to add in the winning atmosphere. Now you know there's going to be something said in that clubhouse for the Red Sox, and I don't know how this weekend's going to go. The pitching matchup kind of scares me. I don't know where the Red Sox are going to be at injury-wise. Devers is out. O'Neill is out. Casas is obviously still. He's not expected back until July 1st. But there is a chance that those two, Devers and O'Neill, could be back this week. Yoshida's rehabbing. He could be back this weekend. Abreu could be back this weekend. Now you're talking about 4 big key parts of the Red Sox lineup that could be back for the series against the Yankees. And you're going to make a comment. Now you might have just pissed them off. Like I said, the Red Sox are such a 3-3 team. Maybe that's the series to take 2 out of 3 because now they're pissed. I don't know. But I don't agree with comments being made, especially if I say before the season, but sometimes you can make them just when they're not like it's June. The Red Sox and Yankees are playing their first series of the season. Why are you making a comment right before you're going to play them? You had all this time. You could have made a comment then when it doesn't mean anything. Maybe, yeah, they frame it and they hold it up like the Celtics did the pregame before the Game 2 last night. Maybe they hold it up and frame it or whatever. But now it's just fresh. Like now you just did that going into this. Like you're facing the Royals for 4. You don't have an off day. You're traveling from Kansas City to Boston. Are you going to be tired? Like the Phillies, they're coming from London. They could be jet lagged for that series with the Red Sox. There's some factors there. But now you're making comments that you don't need to make. So that's all for me. I mean, there's so much I guess I could talk about that I just didn't have. If you want to like, subscribe, share, please do. I'm always here. I'll be here next week, ready to go, whether it's just me or not me. So, series. Have a good week, everyone.